Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on AI and video tools in language teaching. My name is Ekaterina Arshavskaya, and I'm with the World Languages and Cultures Department here at USU. So first, let me outline the context where I work, as this presentation may be relevant to people who work in similar or the same areas. Then some research insights that I have found in the literature, a classroom study on AI that I did, and some practical applications of AI and video tools that I learned from other instructors, and I also want to try in my own classroom. So I have worked in English as a second language and English as a foreign language context at the college level. Now I primarily work as a Russian as a foreign language instructor at the college and high school level. I also teach TESOL certificate courses here at USU and Master of Science in Second Language Teaching program. So, what was found in the literature that AI can be a great support tool and it can help students with speaking, writing, grammar correction, and vocabulary development skills. And some tools that were highlighted in the literature were Grammarly, Quizlet, AI-driven flashcards, AI Speak to help with pronunciation, and the Write Lab. Other educators say that AI can also analyze student data and can adjust feedback and grading. And then if we give AI those more kind of repetitive and boring tasks like grading or feedback, then teachers can devote more time to lesson design and material development, according to these researchers. Some educators also question accuracy of AI feedback, accessibility of AI tools. There are also issues about data privacy, and some students may over-rely on AI. And also, there is a skills gap among educators, and there is a need for targeted teacher training. So these are just some highlights. Of course, there is much more that was done. And as I looked into the other area of my interest, video tools, I noticed that people frame it differently. So before it was called computer mediated communication. And now a lot of people talk about international virtual exchange. Here is when you have group of students, they can be, for example, English learners and students in UK or in US interacting kind of over the ocean through computer. It doesn't always have to be video, right? It can be just text, can be emails. And then this was actually around for a long time. For example, in the European Union, they have the Erasmus program where students go to study like for a semester to a different country in the European Union. But also they added a virtual mobility component, which can supplement this kind of travel arrangement or even replace it. So students from one European Union country interact with another group of students for another country from the European Union online. And then in Hagler's paper, he had a group of students in Japan and the other group of students in Colombia. They were all English language students, and they would interact via a virtual platform, mostly text-based interactions on topics such as introductions, my hometown, events in our life, and future plans. So pretty conversational, like everyday topics for beginner students. And then some educators criticize this kind of arrangements because they are kind of very surface level, right, topics. But at the same time, we see that as Hadley says, they can showcase common humanity, right? So they can show that, help us find some common ground, despite many cultural, historical, social, and other kind of differences that we have. And then in his study, he wanted to know basically how does this virtual exchange impact students' understanding of their own culture, of their partner's culture, and what is their overall impression of the project. And what he found was that students could increase their confidence, intercultural sensitivity, knowledge of their culture, of their partner's culture. So there were a lot of benefits, right? As you can see in the last quote here. At the same time, of course, there's limitations. So students developed some polarized views. So they actually focused a lot on the difference. So we're like this and they're like that. But at the same time, they felt motivated and interested to continue interactions with people from other countries. And now what I did with AI, I used it as a feedback tool. It was a graduate class with both native speaking and non-native English writers. The course was focused on academic writing skills, and the students themselves were either in-service or pre-service teachers. So with every assignment that we had, they had to bring back their original writing, their revised versions based on AI feedback, and their reflection on the feedback. So which feedback was more useful for them, which was not. And overall, they thought it was very useful and positive, this kind of arrangement. And many of them said they did not only use it as a feedback tool, but they also used it to summarize articles, to suggest resources, to help with citations like APA or other style. And also it helped them to outline and brainstorm their ideas. And this is just a quote from one of the students. I can give you some time to look at it. I thought it was very powerful because the student, who was also a teacher, also was interested to use this tool with her own students. And some other applications that I did not try yet, but I learned it from other instructors and I would like to try in my classes. So one is from Dr. Anna Surin, and she explored Russian indigenous people's stories in her high school setting, and she also taught them Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, right? Concept. This is an idea that every like old narrative, right? A story has a certain like patterns or structure that it follows. And then they apply this concept to analyze the stories. Then she used AI to create a story using the characters that they study and the hero's journey concept. And the students, when they read the story, they thought it was very simple, not very interesting. And then she challenged them to write better stories. And students were really motivated to kind of show and to prove that they can do better. And they can also generate illustrations with AI to accompany those stories. And students had their positive reactions, and they highlighted this project as something really engaging and useful in their course feedback. And now also the students and the teacher has a collection of stories for future references, and maybe they can use it for other things as well, like with other students. Another one I learned is that teachers can write whole books with AI. And this is from Russell Stannard. And he creates books in different languages, just using the keywords that he studies with his students. You can adapt the level, like beginner, pre-intermediate, intermediate, wherever your students are. It can also illustrate the book, and you also get a public link to share with your students. Other uses is to create flashcards or infographics, for example, to explain regular and irregular verbs in English. And what I did, that was a virtual exchange with videos. In my Russian as a foreign language class, I was connected with a group of high school students in Russia, and students here at USU exchanged videos on everyday topics. So that would be, I guess, should be framed as a simple virtual exchange, right, with videos on everyday topics, like student school life in Russia, and in college life in US, holiday celebrations there and here, favorite hobbies, pastimes there and here. So those topics were also covered in the course textbook, and that was used as a supplementary activity. I did not measure the impact on student language skills or intercultural awareness, since it was not a study, but more like a classroom activity. But I noticed that students were very positive and interested to do that. And some of them expressed interest to stay in touch after the course was over, and they exchanged emails, and I think they may still be in touch with their partners in Russian. Here are some of my references that I used, and acknowledgements for the instructors who also shared their insights with me. If you have any questions, anything you wanna communicate about, here's my email, and thank you for attending this session.